Bungie has just released the final Twab before Lightfall, and they are going over all of the artifact mods that are coming out in Lightfall. Some of them sound insane. Listen to this one. Prismatic Transfer. When you cast your super, each member of your fire team with a subclass damage type different than yours gains a bonus to weapon damage. That sounds like it could be crazy. Imagine you're on a well lock and you pop your super. Everyone's not on solar and they all get a bonus to weapon damage, right? Let's go through the entire Twab this week. We have first a preview of everything that they've already covered, and I have covered every single one of these videos, so make sure you scroll through the videos on YouTube, on the main channel, the second channel, and everywhere else. There is a new Lightfall trailer that's coming out in about an hour from now, so keep that in mind, and we'll definitely be watching and reacting to that as well. And so we got that new trailer coming with this Sony State of Play event that they have going on. Then they mentioned a little bit about this week, the World Systems team shared an overview of the changes to several activities. Long story short, Destiny 2 is getting harder, and they explained surges, threats, and overcharges, strike refreshes, and Vanguard Ops scoring system. All good stuff. We covered that in a video as well. I think those are all really good changes overall. Then they have a rank up section here. Make your in-game merits more obvious and give others opportunity to say nice things about when you've played. Surely must feel nice. That's why Guardian ranks and commendations are crucial additions to Destiny 2. Looking forward to that. And then we have the Crucible Beckons. This is some new section right now, stuff that we haven't seen yet. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to have some updates to comp and to trials in Season 20 and Lightfall. We have placement changes. You can now place in Platinum Division after your initial placement match series if you were Adept or Ascendant in the previous season. And then they have mode and map weighting. And so basically they expect Survival to show up 2/3 of the time and Rift and Showdown to split the other 1/3 because people did not like Rift and Showdown nearly as much as they liked Survival. So Survival is going to be the primary mode. And then they actually removed 2 of the maps that people don't like, which is they removed Dysfunction and Cathedral of Dust from comp, which is a nice change. And they increased the weight of Javelin for Endless Veil, Altar of Flame in the comp setting. So that's going to be a nice change. If you're out there and you're a PvP player, I'm sure you'll rejoice. As the start of Season 20, you can gild the Glorious title by reaching the Adept Division, as well as a number of other Crucible triumphs. And then they have a new setting that they're calling, which is the not swap modifier. So right now, if you were to swap to an exotic that buffs your super, like gives it a longer duration, like for example, if you're a Chaos Reach Warlock, right, and you swap to Geomags, you get a nice benefit of that, and there's no downside to it, right? If you have your super, you swap to it, you don't lose anything. Well, now in the future, if you swap to Geomags or to any exotic mid-game, you're going to lose all of your abilities and all of the super energy. So it's going to be comparable to swapping your subclass in PvE. This doesn't affect PvE at all, though. This doesn't affect any Crucible playlists except trials and comp. So keep that in mind. They're just trying to keep it fair, trying to keep it competitive in those. And people swapping their armors around to get an advantage in their super is obviously it's not working as intended, right? So I think that's a good change overall. And I think that most sweaty PvP players will enjoy that. And then we have Embrace the Passive Artifact. So now instead of unlocking certain artifact mods and only being able to wear certain ones, as you unlock them, you're able to use, I believe it's up to 12 at a time. And so basically you're going to have all the passive artifact mods working for you simultaneously, but a limited number of them, and you can reset your artifact as many times as you need to. And they're going to have a bunch of other features to go along with this. And then they go through the entire, all the anti-champion mods and everything in the artifact right here. So let's go through this. We got anti-barrier sidearms in Lightfall, anti-barrier pulse, overload bows, unstoppable scouts, and overload automatics, which is submachine guns and auto rifles. Then we have authorized mod solar, which is the armor energy costs of all solar mods affecting your solar weapons are significantly discounted. The same thing for strand, void, and then they do the same thing for grenades. And then multi-siphon mods, the armor energy costs of all armor mods affecting your grenades are significantly discounted. Next up, we have column 3, shatter orbs. The first time you break a combatant's shield, you create an orb of power. If you break the shield with a matching damage type, which is sounds like a nice mod there. Define Armory greatly improves the benefits provided by the Noble Deeds, Nanotech, Tracer Rockets, Text Balance Stock, and Ambush Origin traits. We've seen stuff like that before. Untangler, destroying a tangle with a strand weapon suspends targets damaged by the explosion. Solar Surge, collecting a fire sprite gives you armor charge. Volatile Flow, picking up an orb of power, grants your void weapons volatile rounds. We've seen all this before. Bricks from Beyond, defeating a powerful combatant with a void weapon has a chance to generate heavy ammo for you and your teammates. That sounds crazy. We have Flare Up, Firebolt Grenades apply more Scorch stacks. Damaging a combatant with a Firebolt Grenade spawns a fire sprite near them. Origin Hones, weapons with noble deeds, nano tracing rockets, text balance stock, and ambush origin traits are always overcharged when that modifier is active. And we have Allied Unraveling, rapid final blows with strand weapon, grant your weapon unraveling rounds with a longer duration near allies. Counterweave, when you are a member of your fire team stuns or defeats a champion, you gain energy for your least charged strand ability. Nice. Now we go on to column 5, which is always the crazy stuff, right? And if you're a bounty hoarder out there, you'll be able to get to this a lot faster. And if you aren't, then you'll get to it in your own time. Stranded Reach, destroying a tangle with a strand weapon creates a larger and more damaging explosion. Rain of Firebolts, when you have fireball grenades equipped, you gain a second grenade charge. Wow, that'll be interesting. You'll be throwing firebolts like a madman. We'll see what firebolt builds we have. I'll definitely be coming out with one soon as we get that unlocked. Void Weapons Channeling, you gain a temporary bonus to void weapon damage after you defeat a target with a void weapon while at least one of your void abilities is fully charged. This damage bonus increases based on the number of fully charged void abilities you have. Nice. This one's crazy. Medieval Champion, they're basically trying to get you to use glaives and swords. Glaives you wield fire a powerful explosive payload that stuns unshielded combatants. Strong against unstoppable champions. Additionally, glaives are always overcharged when that modifier is active. Landing consecutive hits with the sword disrupts combatants, stunning them, dealing ability energy regeneration, and lowering combatant damage output. Strong against overload champions. Additionally, swords are always overcharged when that modifier is active. Nice. And then we have Prismatic Transfer, which we talked about. You cast your super, and all of your teammates that have a different subclass than you will get a buff. So that's going to be nuts. We'll see which combinations are the meta as soon as that comes out, because we need to see how much that actually buffs your weapon damage and if it stacks other buffs in the game. New ways to defeat champions. They have an entire article that they mentioned before about anti-champion stuff coming out involving your abilities. And so you're going to be able to, with the chill clip perk, the slow effect will stun overload champions, and then the shatter effect with the chill clip would stun unstoppables, but while radiant, the same weapon would pierce a barrier champion but not stun overloads. So certain things will overlap other things, so keep that in mind. Not everything will work perfectly and effortlessly. Like if you have radiant, then it wouldn't be able to stun the champions. It would only be able to do the barriers, so keep that in mind. And they give another example here. Agger's Scepter will slow and stun an overload champion, but not pierce a barrier one even if the player is radiant. So we'll have to have an entire chart of how these things work, but it seems like a pretty good change overall to have more anti-champion mods and abilities in the game. So we'll see. We'll see how that feels when it goes live. And then we have Become Legend. They talk about whether you're a solo player or in the full fire team, there's no wrong way to play the Lightfall campaign. We know you all love the legendary difficulty that we debuted in the Witch Queen, so we want to talk a little bit more how it will work in Lightfall. With the goal of balancing challenge and survivability across all fire teams, legend difficulty scales based on the size of your fire team, including damage required to stagger an enemy. Enemy health and the amount of revives are a few things that scale on legendary for each additional member of your fire team. In Lightfall campaign, we reduced the health scaler on combatants to better balance solo and fire team play when compared to last year's legendary campaign. Enemies will still have more overall health in larger fire teams, but this will help bring solo and fire team difficulty closer together. Additionally, the damage required to stagger combatants is reduced during the Lightfall campaign, and they said make no mistake, it'll still be really tough, and they're not even talking about tormentors, so forward to that. And then we've got the Witch Queen is free for the next 3 days, so I would highly recommend you get in there and get to grabbing some of those exotics. I'll go over those at the end of this video here because I think it's really important to snag those bad boys. And we've got Prime Gaming rewards. Those are all going away. We've got the player support report. We've got the movie of the week, artist of the week, and all the rest of it. So before we end this video, let me go ahead and show you what I would grab if you're going to do the Witch Queen. These are all the exotics that we've made available for you for free. We've got the exotic here. We've got, let me pull up this. All right, so in the kinetic slot, you'll have Osteo and Revision 0 made available for you if you are a free-to-play player or if you haven't purchased the Witch Queen. I'd highly recommend getting the Osteo. In the energy slot, you'll have the 3 glaives. You'll have Dead Messenger, Collective Obligation, Trespasser, Delicate Tomb, Manticore, and Hierarchy of Needs. None of these are like must-have exotics per se, but there are a few interesting ones, and Collective Obligation could be interesting in Lightfall because it can stun multiple champion types. Then we have Parasite, Grand Overture, and Heart Shadow, which would also be a part of the 14 exotics made available. And Parasite is definitely a must-have. I would definitely log in and grab that bad boy. As far as armor goes, we have for the Titan Lorelei Splendor, if they do give you the exotic armor pieces to unlock, which I think they would. They didn't mention it. They mentioned the 14 weapons, but I imagine this is also unlockable, so I would highly recommend to unlock Lorelei Splendor for your Titans. If you got second chance, Point Contact Brace, you don't really need those as much. And then lastly, of the Witch Queen exotics, you have Hoarfrost, which is pretty solid for Stasis Titan, so I would grab that. For Hunter, you're going to have Blight Ranger. You don't really need that. You have Renewal Grasp, which is a must-have. Caliban's Hand, which is a must-have. And then lastly, we'll have Gerfalcons, which is also a must-have. So if you're hunters out there and you don't have Witch Queen yet, definitely log in and get those 3 exotics. You have Fallen Sunstar, which is fun for Arc, but not a must-have. Osmiomancy is a must-have for Stasis Warlock builds. And then you have Secant Filaments, Rain of Fire. Secant is pretty mid. Rain of Fire is actually pretty good. I would grab that one. And that's a wrap on this week's video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed. Smash the like button. See you in the next one. Later.